If I can go through the fire evacuation announcement, the emergency evacuation announcement. Right, there are no planned fire drills this evening, so if the alarm activates, please leave the building in an orderly fashion by your nearest fire exit. The 2 fire exits through the partition doors are currently not in use due to ongoing works. Therefore, the fire exits are through the main doors of the hall or the storeroom adjacent to the stage. The fire assembly point is the island in front of the main entrance to the building. Please do not delay your evacuation to collect any belongings. Please do not return to the building until given permission to do so by council staff. Please note that the meeting will be audio recorded. Please switch off mobile phones or turn them to silent, please. Toilets and hand washing facilities are available in the foyer area. Members of the public, welcome. While you are, of course, entitled to film or take photographs during this meeting, can I please emphasise to you that this should be done without disruption to the meeting, can only be done from a designated area in the public seating. Can I please, therefore, ask you to raise your hand clearly? Well, that's routine stuff, but yes, thank you. There we are. Thank you very much indeed. Right. The further points, members, there is a need to use microphones. All this stuff you really know during the meeting. When I invite you to speak, please wait until there is a microphone in front of you before speaking. These are all switched on and ready for you to speak and will be unmuted by officers for you. Please make sure the microphone is directly in front of your mouth before speaking. Members, voting will be done on a show of hands in line with the Constitution. I will ask for a show of hands for and then against recommendations. We'll also ask for a show of hands for those wishing to abstain from voting. Right. At that point, members and members of the public, visiting councillors, can I welcome you to this meeting of the Executive this evening. Before we move into the agenda proper, I would like to make members aware and visiting members the sad passing of Michelle Power, who was an officer in this council until a year or two ago. She worked in democratic services. Can I also draw your attention to the absolutely shocking and dreadful scenes that we're seeing on our television screens of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. We are fortunate in this country not to have those sorts of occasions, but I'm going to ask for us to have a minute's silence, if we may, just to reflect on the life of Michelle Power, an officer in this authority, and also spare some time to give thoughts to the dreadful issues going on in Turkey and Syria. Our thoughts are with them at this very, very difficult time. Members, 1 minute silence, please. Thank you very much, members. Right, we move to item 1, apologies for absence. Well, everyone is here, so there are none. Item 2, non-members attending. Councillor Michael Hoy from Rochford District Council and Councillor Jill Waite from Raleigh Town Council. I think I've covered everyone else. Yeah. Right. Minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of January, the minutes have been circulated, and members, are you content for me to sign those minutes as an accurate record of that meeting? Agreed? Thank you. Right, item 4, to receive declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? None? Right, moving on, questions on notice from councillors. I've not been informed of any questions on notice from members, so we move on to item 6, which is matters referred to the executive and reports from other committees. And I have to say that I'm a little surprised. There's a blank chair there where I was expecting to see Councillor Stuart Wilson this evening reporting back from overview and scrutiny. Were we expecting him to be attending tonight's meeting? Okay, all right, well, we'll push on. It's always nice to see Councillor Wilson, but as he's obviously not been able to make it tonight. If we turn to item 6.1, report of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee relating to the sustainability strategy, Councillor Mrs Danielle Belton, along with, no doubt, Marcus Houghton, if you would like to do a bit of a double act on that and introduce the points on that.
Thank you. So, members, you've all had a chance to see the sustainability strategy and review that in depth, and obviously it went to ONS, where a number of recommendations have come forward. I'll go through those recommendations now. Recommendation 1 is that the sustainability strategy as appended be approved and adopted. Recommendation 2, that the Climate and Sustainability Officer post be made permanent. 3, that a Climate and Sustainability Committee of 11 members be established on a pro rata basis. And 4, that the Climate and Sustainability Committee meets on a quarterly basis. Now, I just want to comment on item 3. On the evening, there was some talk about the makeup of the committee and the importance of it being represented by all groups on the council. The number 11 was floated on the evening, but subsequently Emily has confirmed that 9 would achieve the same outcome. So if we were to go down the route of 11 members, it would be made up of 6 Conservatives, 1 Green and Independent, 1 Liberal, 1 Rochford District resident and 1 Independent. And a group of 9, it would be 5 Conservative and 1 from each of the groups. With the 11, one of the groups, the Green Independents, Liberal Democrats and Rochford District residents, one of them could take an extra seat. Just to remind members that as this is an executive committee, it doesn't have to be set in a pro rata basis. It has to be set as we agree. But I think it is really important that everybody has the opportunity to be represented on the committee given the weight of the climate situation. So I would like to make an amendment or a proposal for an amendment to item 3 that a climate and sustainability of 9 members be established to achieve a political representative committee.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Efty. Thank you.
Thank you. And if I may make one more point on that, if for any reason any of the groups do not wish to be represented, I would like to put forward that one of the other groups could take that position. This committee is about transparency, working together and essentially putting some good ideas on paper to bring forward to this exec to improve the council.
Thank you very much indeed, Mrs Belton, Councillor Mrs Belton. Right, okay. Well, we have 4 recommendations before us from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. One has been amended, so with that amended item on 3, if I read them out, 1, that the sustainability strategy as appended be approved and adopted. Is that agreed? Agreed. That the Climate and Sustainability Officer post be made permanent. Agreed. That a Climate and Sustainability Committee of 9 members be established on a pro rata basis. Is that agreed? that the Climate and Sustainability Committee meets on a quarterly basis. Is that
Agreed, but there was a misspeak on item 3. It's not pro rata, it's on a political representative basis.
okay? I beg your pardon. Yes, the subtlety of that is passed me by. So, right, just moving back to item 3, that a Climate and Sustainability Committee of 9 members be established to achieve a politically representative committee. Agreed? Thank you for pointing that out. Right, with regard to item 6.2, I wish to make a statement, but before I do, Councillor Ward, is there anything that you wish to say in respect of item 6.2?
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. I am actually quite disappointed that Councillor Wilson isn't here. I think he's an excellent chairman of Overview and Scrutiny, and I've been very pleased to have seen him in introducing these items. I am very, very disappointed that this item was actually deferred, because I think it's a very important one, and it runs in conjunction with the next item we're actually going to be discussing, because they are very much interlinked and extremely interlinked. But it's not here, it's going back to ONS to look at again, and I look forward to them bringing their recommendations and their ideas forward to the next meeting of the executive. So I will hand back to you. As far as any comments that you have, I've expressed my own disappointment that we're not dealing with it tonight. Thank you.
Okay, and as chairman of this committee, I'm sure you will appreciate members of the executive committee, including myself, are extremely disappointed by the Overview and Scrutiny Committee's decision to defer the Mill Hall item last Wednesday evening. Not only was this highly embarrassing for the council, as the guests invited in to constructively participate in the meeting were turned away without having a say, but also the portfolio holder and officers had put in a significant amount of time and effort into preparing for the meeting, which essentially went to waste. A further point that I would make is that one of the individuals who attended had given priority to attending Overview and Scrutiny and had not accompanied his wife that afternoon to attend his mother-in-law's funeral the next day. And imagine the heartache that must have given him to have given priority to a meeting that evening where his input wasn't required. And I was desperately apologetic to him in particular. The decision to defer also put at jeopardy the executive's ability to take important decisions around the operation of the Mill Hall, which will ultimately ensure its longer-term viability, to which this Conservative administration is fully committed to. The executive recognises how important it is for good governance that the Overview and Scrutiny Committee and the executive have a positive working relationship. The deferral decision could have resulted in the executive having to proceed with the decision on the 7th of February without having the Overview and Scrutiny Committee's valuable input. However, we have reviewed the implications of not considering the item tonight, and I can confirm that we are able to accommodate the report returning to Overview and Scrutiny Committee on the 23rd of February ahead of the next executive meeting on the 7th of March. This is a most serious matter, and whilst we have been able to adjust our decision-making timetable on this occasion, that may not always be the case, and I must stress that we cannot find ourselves in a situation again where the executive cannot conduct its business because the Overview and Scrutiny Committee has not fulfilled its proper role. I will be writing to the chair of the committee, Councillor Stuart Wilson, to this effect. Thank you, members. Any other comments on that point? And it's agreed that we defer. Agreed. Thank you. Right, moving to item 6.3, report of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee relating on the 1st of February 2023 relates to the Community Investment Plan. Councillor Ward and Phoebe, I think it's double act from the two of you.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. Well, this is a very, very important document that's coming forward, the Community Investment Plan. Basically, this is to invest throughout the district, totally and absolutely. And the recommendations that we have looked to address are on page 6.3.2. We do have other recommendations that have come from overview and scrutiny, but I would like to really go through the view that we are taking as far as this is concerned. Basically, this community investment plan and its objectives that are set out are following a very, very fundamental route, that the allocation of funding for this community investment plan will be prioritised based on the three key objectives that originate from the partnership with Sanctuary Housing Association and the deed of variance. These three objectives will assist Rochford District Council and Sanctuary Housing Association in their complementary roles as important place shapers and makers within the district. So I would like to highlight the items on 6.3.2, item 1.2, part 3, that delegated authority be given to the interim director of resources and the director of assets and investment in consultation with the leader and the portfolio holder for strategic planning and assets and the portfolio holder for finance, economy and climate, Councillor Daniel Belton, sitting next to me, to draw down funds from the Community Investment Plan ring-fenced reserve to support the following. There are three items. Up to a total of £255,000 to support expected works of 185,000 at the Mill Arts and Events Centre and up to 45,000 for replacing the furniture at the Mill Arts and Events Centre to enhance the offering for events there, plus up to 25,000 to support the external resource to deliver the future plans and business case for the Mill Arts and Events Centre. Point 3, up to a total of £350,000 to support the objectives of regeneration outlined within the CIP proposals. This money will support the technical work to bring forward regeneration sites in the district to REBA Stage 2, supporting the regeneration strategy approved by this executive on the 9th of November. Up to a total of £75,000 to deliver a comprehensive community and stakeholder engagement process to support and align with the technical delivery of the regeneration sites. Now, Chairman, I would like to go back to the recommendations subject to overview and scrutiny committee, which one can see on 6.3.1, and there are 4 recommendations. They are: the community engagement exercise should include meaningful market research to achieve the best outcome for the Mill Hall. Number 2, page 7.4, paragraph 4, that the regeneration strategy is aligned with the new local plan. 3, that we look to work in partnership with charitable organisations and others that are able to access grants. And 4, that the delegated spending authority is limited to £100,000 and any decisions in excess of this value are referred to the full executive for decision. Chairman, those are the various recommendations and proposals within this community investment plan. I hand over to you unless there are any further questions or anything that any other members or officers wish to add. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Ward, for that very comprehensive overview of the report. Members, are there any questions? No questions? Right, okay. Have you got a seconder for your recommendations that came forward from Councillor Mrs Danielle Belton? Thank you. The recommendations have been read out to you, but just for the tape, we'll go through the recommendations once again, and they are shown on page 6.3.1 at 2, and the first recommendation, number 1, the community engagement exercise should include a meaningful market research to achieve the best outcome for the Mill Hall. Is that agreed, members? Agreed. Page 7.4, paragraph 4, that the regeneration strategy is aligned with the new local plan. Is that agreed? Number 3, that we look to work in partnership with charitable organisations and others that are able to access grants. Is that agreed? And that the delegated spending authority is limited to £100,000 and any decisions in excess of this value are referred to the full executive for a decision. Is that agreed? Thank you very much.
We need to do the recommendations in the report as well, so that they're in the report.
Oh, right. Right, yes, I was doing the shortcut, but of course there's recommendations within the report that you read out, Councillor Ward. So we turn to 1.2 on page 6.3.2. So not only have we got the overview and scrutiny recommendations, but the proposed recommendations within the report. That the community investment plan objectives set out within section 3 of this report be approved. And can I have a show of hands for those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. Following approval of the objectives, that the proposals set down within section 4 be approved. That's item 2. Again, can I have a show of hands for those in agreement? Unanimous. And 3, that delegated authority be given to the Interim Director of Resources and the Director of Assets and Investment in consultation with the leader and the portfolio holder for strategic planning and assets and the portfolio holder for finance, economy and climate to draw down funds from the CIP ring-fenced reserve to support the following. Up to a total of £255,000 to support expected works of £185,000 at the Mill Arts and Event Centre and up to £45,000 for replacing the furniture at the Mill Arts and Event Centre to enhance the offering for events there, plus up to £25,000 to support the external resource to deliver the future plans and business case for the Mill Arts and Event Centre, and up to a total of £350,000 to support the objectives of regeneration outlined within the Community Investment Plan proposals. This money will support the technical work to bring forward regeneration sites in the district to REBA Stage 2, supporting the regeneration strategy approved by the Executive on the 9th of November, and up to a total of £75,000 to deliver a comprehensive community and stakeholder engagement process to support and align with the technical delivery of the regeneration sites. Can I have a vote in favour or otherwise of that? Those in favour? Thank you. That's unanimous as well. And obviously, those later recommendations are restricted with the authority shown in the recommendation from ONS. So that item is concluded, members. And we move on to our regular item, our monthly item at every executive, which I'm pleased to see coming forward each month on the cost of living update, which is item 7. I think Councillor Williams and Tracy Lilly are going to guide us through this one. And I think we might even have a slideshow, have we?
If I may. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, the decision being recommended this evening is that the update of the cost of living response and work of the cost of living working group be noted. I'm going to ask Director Tracy Lilly to take this forward for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Yeah, just to kind of bring you up to speed, and apologies I couldn't be here at last executive. It wouldn't have been safe for anyone. But I'm really, really proud, actually, of the work that we've done in the district around the cost of living. And as members will know, I've been very clear, it's not what we will do for our residents, the staff and our businesses. It's actually us as an enabler to enable the fantastic community groups and partners that we have. And I don't want to steal Kelly's thunder because I've invited Kelly today to present the dashboard to you, which we've promised. But one thing I do want to say is that work that we've done, and we're busy doing it, has been recognised by the Local Government Association. So they've included it in a case study of the excellent collaboration with partners and the work that we're doing on the cost of living. And I was also invited to the cost of living conference to talk about the excellent work that we're doing in this district. So I just want members to be assured that, you know, whilst we're not out there doing everything, we're enabling the right organisations, the right groups that we have, the right charities, and they're so fantastic, and the support that we've received is incredible, and everyone's really, really committed. But as I said, we were going to develop a dashboard, which we've done, and Kelly's going to present to you. I would just add the caveat that I've put in the report that it's in its infancy, and we have to rely on partners that some of them are already stretched delivering the services that we want them to deliver. So I didn't want this to be onerous on them in terms of collating the data. So the available data to us is not available until the 21st of every month. So the data that you'll see in a moment is for December. But the plan is that this will then inform us moving forward so that when we come to September of this year and we need to start putting things in place, then we'll have all of that data available to us. But that dialogue is happening on a daily basis in some respects. Our website is constantly updated. But I won't steal Kelly's thunder. I'll hand over to her if you don't mind.
Thank you, Tracy. Sorry, it's going to open up a load of different updates now. Sorry about this. I'll find the right one. There we go. So I want to present to you today the cost of living data dashboard. As Tracy's told you, this is a partnership approach. I know it's work that's been embedded through the COVID work and through the development of the community hub. Our partners are small but powerful, and they really have stepped up to the mark yet again. And I have to say yet again because it feels like we're asking them to do something every time we're in crisis at the moment. They are under a huge amount of pressure. So I've split up the dashboard into what I think makes sense. I hope it makes sense because data is not easy to gather, especially when you're gathering it from different sources. So the top area is support from council services given in December. So we talk about the cost of living related calls received by customer services and the contact centre, the number of people that have applied for discretionary housing payment, so those that find themselves suddenly in difficulty, the number of those apply for council tax reduction scheme, so this is generally because their circumstances have changed, or someone in their household, their circumstances have changed. The number of at risk of homelessness, which we know is always slightly elevated at this time of year, and the homeless applications. I think that this gives a bare bones narrative of how at the council we deal with cost of living on an everyday basis. Customer services stepped up to actually give us that data, to collect that extra data for us. So every time we ask a question or ask something from someone, we're asking them to do a little bit more. So it's not easy. The dashboard is not perfect, but it will get better. In terms of support from partners, when I talk about partners, we're talking about citizens' advice, we're talking about RAVs, we're talking about the hub at the Mega Centre, and we also get some soft outcome information from some of our charitable partners like TrustLinks. And I'm hoping to bring that data on board at a later basis, but it's going to be more qualitative, so you'll see that in the identified needs and trends. So the number of people seeking support for warm hubs, we've done a fantastic job. We put some money towards that. £5,000 came from the executive. It was well spent. It went in the first 2 weeks, I have to tell you. Victoria had trouble actually getting it out quick enough. But as expected, I can tell you the uptake is actually really low because we have such a resilient district. We found this during COVID, that people help themselves, they help their neighbours, they will help themselves in their community, and we've got a really strong faith network. And what's interesting is that quite a lot of the faith organisations didn't take that money because what they said is that's what they're already doing. So you won't get their numbers. That's just a fact. We knew that in COVID and we know that now. But that work is happening on a ground level. So though the uptake is small, maybe 4 or 5 in each session, it's still powerful. It's still hitting the most vulnerable. The number of people seeking food from support from food banks has gone up. It's been an upward trend for the last 3 years. It's, again, no great surprise. What is difficult is that our food banks are struggling more. They're having to make new partnerships. They're having to increase their ability to get food in. But our food bank is fantastic, the one that we get the numbers from. So we don't get St Mark's numbers at the moment, but we're hoping to add those into the next dashboard. But what they do is they work across the 2 districts, Castle Point and Rochford, so that the fresh food that comes in is used at the right time. So residents across 2 districts are supported. That line isn't there for residents, and the food bank is set up at the mega centre at the hub. So the number of those seeking support in crisis, it feels a little bit ambivalent. That is a citizens' advice figure, and that is the people that really phone up and, you know, they are in tears. You know, they've got multiple problems. But what you tend to find is they're in crisis, and there is always a financial element to that. Numbers seeking support for other crisis interventions. So that's usually quite specific. But again, we've asked them to drill down on that. And it's usually the secondary issue. So they might be phoning up about a divorce or a separation, but debt management and money always comes into that. So we find time and time again that intervention is really, really needed. Debt is rising. We was given a warning probably around about a year ago as we was coming out of the COVID phase by Citizens Advice, as we knew that people could get evicted, that people were going to be claiming debts back and going to court, that there would be an uprise. And that is the case. I've been working on a report that I'd love to kind of present in a future environment or present through Councillor Williams, just looking at the Q3 Citizens Advice outcomes for 2022 versus 2021. And I can tell you there's almost a 25% uplift across most of that activity, which is huge. But there's some devil in the detail that's really, really interesting. Energy debt, which everyone thought was going to be the big one. Everyone's is. It's not as big as they thought it was because people were prepared. Those that were the most vulnerable on key meters had already topped up. They were clever. They knew that if they topped up before October, they'd be on the old rate. So there is a need, but it's not as strong as we thought it was going to be because people knew their bills were going up. People were prepared. But we are still giving out household grants. So the household grant is given out by Citizens Advice in this district. It's not advertised. And the reason it's not advertised is that once people understand that it's there, they'll go back. It is for the most vulnerable and the most in need. It is an opportunity for people to get some prepayment vouchers for their energy meters, for their gas and their electrics, and food vouchers. But it's a service. They don't just get the vouchers. They do need to have a little conversation about their debt management, their money management, and their budgeting. So those figures will come probably on a quarterly basis. Number seeking support with rent, council tax, risk of eviction. Again, I'm just finalising that data from Citizens Advice, but they have literally sent me through this afternoon January's data as well. So once you get to the next dashboard, what you'll see is where the green lines are, you'll see a light green line. So you'll have December's, January's, February's, March, April's, May. So you'll be able to start then comparing where we are on any given issue at any given month. In terms of comms, I had to change this slightly. So you saw a slightly different version of this last time, and it had 3, which was total posts, clicks through to the cost of living website, and the third one was total reach. But as soon as I put it into a table, the numbers went skew with. Because the reach is 12,686, which is huge. That means that people are seeing our social media posts. They are seeing the toolkit that was created by the working group, and they are getting the information that they need. And that also comes down to you as well, as councillors, as those that are sharing that information, those that are active on social media, those that are advising their residents that there is support available. So I think it's a collective kind of well done for everyone. particularly our comms team, because, you know, Anna's really on it. She's been fantastic. She's really quick to change when we need to. So the last box on this slide, or on the dashboard, is identified needs and trends. And in here, what I'll try and do is just pull out some of that information into some sentences, because when you look at it flat on a page, it doesn't mean much. So, you know, one of the examples is the food banks have seen an increase in 13% just in December. So we know that usually happens a little bit, but that's a massive increase. Warm hubs in the district, on average, 3 to 4 per session. The last one, in Rochford, we set out to offer 1,480 spaces across an average of 3 days. That is for out-of-school holiday activities. So that's Essex data. We have just received the data for the December holidays, but we've also already got another holiday coming up. I understand it was well taken up, so that will be some increased information that will appear in that box periodically, but not monthly. The last item that I wanted to just raise today was a hold the date. So Councillor Williams is the chair of the Health and Wellbeing Board. The Health and Wellbeing Board is Castle Point and Rochford, but they've taken cost of living seriously. You know, it's 50 plus partners. So our cost of living working group is 10 partners. The Health and Wellbeing Board is 50 plus partners. It's got a really strong strategy, and cost of living sits seamlessly within our health and wellbeing strategy. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the board meeting together, we're going to have an open market event, and we're going to invite residents. I've got a little bit of COVID money left. Please don't tell Essex County Council. But I'm going to spend that to buy slow cookers, food vouchers to give away for Tesco's and the local supermarkets. We're going to cook some low-cost meals. We'll be giving away meals on the day, recipe cards, and everything to do. We're also going to be, fingers crossed, I'm hoping it will be finalised this week, doing 10-minute budget sessions upstairs. So there'll be some proactive stuff. We're happy to pay travel. So I will facilitate for Mega Centre to pay back any bus fares that are presented to them. Come in with your bus ticket and present it. You can get that paid back. So families are enabled to come. We've also got children's play, because if parents want to talk, there's a play area. So I wanted to raise that. So although it's not just a cost of living roadshow, it's the whole gamble. It is health and wellbeing for our residents. And it just shows how kind of active and interested partners are. And I'd like to end really and just say to you, this dashboard, it's a work in progress. It doesn't look like much right now. But actually, once you get to September, and September is a really key date for the cost of living working group, because we need to plan for next year. We need to not be in the same position where we're trying to get hubs up and running in December, 2 weeks before Christmas, where we know that Citizens Advice have got the capacity in terms of volunteers to support people. We know that RAVS has the opportunity to get out there and really support the organisations and the projects that help our residents. So although it's informative, and it will be informative for you for the next 3-4 months, when it comes key, and I think when it becomes a consideration, is when we come back in September, October with a plan that will see us through, winter 23-24. That's it from me. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Kelly. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. As you can hear, we haven't done very much. It's phenomenal what Tracy, Kelly and their team have done, and I'd just like to say thank you very much. I'm also involved with it, with RAVS and the Mega Centre, and it's a joy, an absolute joy to see the look on people's faces. Thank you. I really mean that. Really, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Don't know who had Councillor Ward.
Thank you very much. That's nice to be deferred by a very courteous lady. Just one thing, I'm really struggling to see what's on that dashboard, and I would have appreciated it if maybe it had been sent beforehand, so I could have maybe looked at it on the screen, because I really am struggling, to see that. But that's it. Thank you.
I absolutely appreciate that. So moving forward, as Tracy suggested, I send a very polite notice out around the 1st of the month, and I ask for the data to try and wing its way to me by the 14th, so that I can present it in a final report on the 21st. What I've said to Tracy, rather than Tracy coming back and doing this, what we'll do is on the 21st, I'm happy to give it to Tracy and for it to be sent to the executive, and if you've got any questions, you can just come straight back to us then, rather than it be so formal for you all the time, and we always feel like we're catching up because we haven't quite got the data. I'd rather send you the data when it's full than when I'm half empty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to speak to that as well. This meeting, the last meeting we had on the Wednesday, I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but I was then asked to submit my report for this month on the Friday, and there's little to add to that. So there might be some mileage in extending, whether it's every month or bi-monthly, to make it a bit more meaningful, because you know my passion, and I'm very upfront. My passion is delivery to the community, and as much as I want to keep members informed, actually I want to make it a meaningful engagement process rather than me just turning up to go, yay, we're doing a great job. But yeah, so that was kind of my ask, if we could just maybe extend it slightly.
Okay, any other points? Councillor Belton.
Thank you. First off, wow. We know there's an awful lot going on, and we hear about it from Councillor Williams and other meetings, but to see it in this format and to hear the detail is just incredible. So well done to everybody involved in making that happen. And obviously, as members, if there is anything we can do to support that, obviously sharing on social media, but anything else, please let us know, because we all want to help. And lastly, the roadshow, which sounds incredible. Did you say you've got a date for that set? Is there a save the date?
I have a date. So the save the date is the 29th of March. It's at the Mega Centre. It'll be an afternoon event, 2 till 6. You're all invited. A save the date will go out with the members' bulletin either this week or next week, once I've got some of the items confirmed, because I don't want to tell you that we're doing it without telling you a few things that are happening and making sure it's there. But I'd really love for you all to come, because I'd like you to talk to our partners. And realistically, you will hear some of the most fantastic stories, not from me. I'm a big fan of making them celebrate. We've done this before. The last roadshow was particularly successful, and partners being able to actually just listen to each other sometimes is really helpful for them. So it's 29th of March. Would absolutely love for you to come. What we've got at the end is part of the Health and Wellbeing Board. We have put together a collection of videos. So we have a small budget. We have 4 priority areas within the health and wellbeing strategy, and we've put together, it's being filmed at the moment, and there's 16 plus partners across Castle Point and Rochford, short videos, and we'll be doing a video launch on the night with a small glass of Prosecco, which will be the kind of the later part of the session. So that it's a roadshow, but also a time for you to come and join us and to celebrate with our partners, and we'd really appreciate that. And you'll get a flavour of what they do individually.
Thank you.
Any other points? Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Chairman. I totally hear what Tracy says, and I would like to propose that we do have bi-monthly updates. I think that would be very useful for this executive. So I propose that we have bi-monthly updates. Tracy, please. Thank you. If I can have a seconder. Thank
Councillor
you.
Williams is seconding it. And do we all agree to that recommendation? Agreed. Right. Councillor Mrs Belton.
Just one point. Completely happy with bi-monthly and understand what everybody said. If anything prudent happens between those times, I would just ask that we're updated in case there's something pressing that you need our support on, or something a message that we need to get out.
Thank you. I want to just sum up and make a few points in relation to the report. First of all, Kelly, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening. That wasn't a presentation by slides, that was passion. And what I like to hear is when a slide or a couple of slides are supported with the passion and the conviction with which you delivered your presentation. You got a bit of audience participation there. There was a good round of applause, and I totally support that round of applause. Thank you. I'm always very proud when Rochford is shown in lights on the national stage, and thank you under your leadership, Tracy, as director for this piece of activity, for the work that you're doing to raise the profile nationally. I always pause when I say teams, because I know that behind teams there's not actually very many people. That's the way it is, a couple of you, but wow, what passion. And under Councillor Williams, portfolio holder, he's keeping an eagle eye and attends meetings, and I know he is also very passionate from a member point of view. So when last May, I think it was quite apparent that we'd got a cost of living crisis, and brought about for a number of reasons, and I won't go into those reasons. But obviously the spotlight was very much on heating. And we know, and I thought you made a really good point, the fact that people did prepare for that to a certain extent, assisted with price caps and help for various people, some broad help for people, pensioners, but also some specifically targeted help to those in need. But when I first raised the subject and said I wanted Rochford to lead the way, I recognised that we could only ever really be a signposting service working with agencies. We could do certain things in terms of council tax support and various bits, but it was really a tip of the iceberg, and that is still very much the case. We don't have a fortune of money to be able to hand out. It's not our role. It's not the expectation that we can. But if we can actually bring people together, signpost them, help them, do our very best, and really point them to agencies that are far more qualified and able than we are, then I think we're doing our job. But then, of course, when I said a month or two ago, actually, can this report be enhanced to bring data, I also recognised what a difficult task that was, because providing data, gathering data from people, a lot of people that are quite, shall I say, disappointed or ashamed of themselves through no fault of their own, that they're having to resort to food banks or they're having to resort to assistance. So it is always going to be difficult to capture that data, and a lot of people will go under the radar. But nevertheless, I don't think that's a reason not to actually do our best to try and capture the data and say what we're doing in our little bit. So all I really want to do is say, well done. Thank you for that report. I think rather than ticking the box and just coming back each month and looking at the cost of living report, it makes it much more meaningful when you're able to report some good data. But really, I'm very, very proud when Rochford is on the map. It's exactly what I want to do in Rochford, and show that we lead where others follow. And we're doing that in one or two areas of our business, of which I'm extremely proud of. But it's really the people that make it happen. Thank you for your passion. Thank you very much indeed. And we go really to the one recommendation, which is at page 7.1 on the report, at item 1.1, that the update on the cost of living response and work of the cost of living working group be noted. Is that noted, members? And I should have mentioned, of course, the working group are contributing hugely to this, and I meant to mention them. So thank them for their support, because this is a subject, this is what it's about. It's working in our community. So thank you very much for that. And I think that actually concludes our agenda for this evening, and I will close the meeting at 8:17 p.m. Thank you very much indeed, members. Thank you very much indeed, officers. Thank you very much indeed for visiting councillors. Thank you.